beginning in January or beginning today, and then continuing through January and February, culminating in a visit from you to New York City. So from what I understand, this event series is tied to the book and the teachings of your spiritual master, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and he spoke a lot about transforming lust into love. And so that is just a general broad topic that has a lot of things that you're going to be discussing with us. So I'm super excited to hear about this and so happy to be here with you. So please share with us what is this about? How does this pertain to us, and how can it help us understand our lives and apply it practically in 2020 that's coming up in a few short weeks?
Yeah, so wonderful. So wonderful to be here with all of you. I'm extremely grateful, thankful, and feel so blessed. It's nice to know that there are people that are there. There are those of you on the call that want to know, want to dive into this topic of love. This is a topic that everyone is so interested in. And as you said, Lucy, this is my spiritual teacher, my spiritual mentor, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He spent so much time, and he wrote this book that's called Transforming Lust into Love. He spent a lot of time with his students. I was one of those students, teaching us how to imbibe this principle of love in our lives, how to live it. And so after Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj left his body, those were there were a few questions that I always would ask myself. And I have heard other persons that have had traumatic experiences in their lives that they have also asked these questions. How am I living my life? How am I living my life? Am I loving? Am I being a loving person? How do I understand this word love? What kind of meaning does it have for me? And how am I sharing that with others or giving that to others? And then do I really matter? What am I doing in terms of making a difference in another person's life? And I believe that all comes from learning about love. So this theme of love that I've been very fortunate to learn from my spiritual master is a theme that I believe connects all of us. And we're all trying to understand, and we're all trying to imbibe this mood of love. So tonight, we'll talk about this a little bit. And I just wanted to kind of give you a little idea, a small idea of why we came up with this theme and this topic. Of course, this is a season where I believe everyone they're trying to practice some of the principles of love in their lives. And I'm also kind of thinking how this season is a season of this time of the year. It's usually a time of joy, a time of happiness. And most people are so absorbed in that. However, we understand and we know that this culture of love somehow it has been kind of lost. And so we want to explore for the next few weeks, what is this culture of love? What is it? What does it really mean? And what does it mean to you? Because it may mean something different for everyone. However, what's important is to know that we're all searching, we're all looking for this love, this whatever this is that we know exists. We innately know that there is something that brings us joy, and we're looking for what that is, where can we find it. Oftentimes we look in the wrong places. We look in places where we become a little bit discouraged, maybe with the life that we're living, or we become discouraged with others because we might be thinking others might not be expressing the love that we might be looking for. And this is why it's important to understand, first and foremost, what is this love? Why we're looking for it. So what we're going to explore for the next few weeks is how things manifest in people that may not be expressive of this love. For example, when someone has a negative behavior, or what we might label as negative behavior, we understand that that is a call for love. It's a call for connection. It's a call for understanding. It's a call for empathy. It's a call for togetherness. And so those behaviors, they may not reflect what the real need is. However, the need is a need for love. And then we're going to be addressing the negative behaviors that might be there in others. We tend to label people, and we often label people in terms of how they behave, how they act. And we have a tendency as human beings to put people in boxes. Oh, they're behaving properly, they're behaving good, or we put them in another box. They're behaving bad, they're not behaving so good, they're whatever. We put names and we put labels on people for the way that they act. And we don't normally take the time to explore why someone may be acting in the way that they do. And that starts really even from childhood. Children act in certain ways, and we may not quite know why they act like the way they do. And we may respond to them also based on our conditioning, our worldview, our way of how we think about love. So we'll look at that, and we'll look at how love is not always pleasant. You know, many people, when they think about love, they think, oh, I'm just going to be happy. You know, there is so much today in our world of, especially when it comes to relationships between people, whatever the relationship may be, we tend to think that those relationships will make us whole. They will make us happy. However, that's not always the case. Sometimes those relationships that we value the most are the relationships that can bring us the most pain, because in this life, we need to grow, and we need to grow in love. And so oftentimes, the pain that we experience in any given situation that might be brought on by another person or another scenario, whatever the case may be, it is usually for our growth, to help us to grow in love. However, most of the times we tend to block those experiences, and we tend to block the people that bring those awarenesses to us, and we tend to not want to understand, the deeper meaning of why some unpleasant situation may happen in our lives, because we're kind of, we're sort of like a little bit conditioned by our media, we're conditioned by advertisement, we're conditioned by how people tell us that happiness, how we're supposed to be happy. And we're looking for happiness, and we know that there is happiness. However, in the world that we live in this world that we live in, we will never really experience consistent happiness until we experience and accept those periods of times when we need to experience pain and unpleasantness, because those are the experiences that will give us the entrance into actually understanding real love, what real love means. And then one other topic we'll talk about is how jealousy and envy is not love. They are the barriers for us in terms of loving, in terms of caring, in terms of really making a difference on the planet. And so we will explore this. We'll explore how jealousy and envy manifest in our lives, because ultimately love is beyond anything in this world. love is beyond the relationships that we have, beyond the relationship between mother and father, husband and wife, children. Love is beyond all of those relationships. Love is within those relationships. However, this love is so expansive that sometimes we may think we're not capable of loving. And really, if we are to just depend on our own senses, our own understanding, our own way of how we see the world, then yes, we may not really understand this love. We may not experience this love, because love is, it's not related, of course, to our physical body. It's not related to our subtle body. Love is related to our soul. And unless a person is ready to explore that soul connection, then they may live in this place on this planet thinking that this is the highest excitement or the greatest happiness that they may receive on this planet. They may think that is actually love. However, that may be an aspect of love. It may not be the full feeling, the full understanding, or the full immersion in love as we understand love. So we want to look, at love. We want to look at this phenomenon of love, because everyone wants it. Everyone needs it. Everyone needs to have this experience. And we also want to look at we want to know that love it's beyond, the physical beauty. It's beyond our intelligence. It's beyond anything that we can think about in this world. So in one sense, it is kind of mystical. Love is kind of mystical. However, it's not so mystical that we can't enter into it. It's not so mystical. So the way that we can understand this love, we can begin to understand this love, is each time we think that we have experienced some of this love, some love. Anytime we think we experience love, I experience love. I'm in some situation where I'm just so happy, because usually that's how we think of love. I'm just so happy. And then when those periods come where we're sad, or where we're hurt, or when we're affected, and if we're still feeling that feeling of happiness inside, even though the externals might be sad or whatever, then we'll know, okay, I'm entering into that love. Because love is unconditional. It's not really, it's not so much determined by the different feelings or moods that we might go through on a daily basis. Love is consistent. Love is always, and again, I am a student, and so I've been learning this for some years, and I'm still trying to practice, how to get the grace to be able to understand this mood of entering into this place, this place where we can accept ourselves and we can accept others for who they are and who we are, and to be able to extend the same kind of kindness and gentleness and compassion, and inevitably all of those qualities actually will help us to experience this love that is between our soul and God ultimately. So Lucy, I said a lot. Leela, I said a lot. So perhaps you might want to just, ask one question or something before we close, because we just wanted to introduce what the topic that we want to explore.
You said so much. Thank you so much for all of this. There's so many gems in it, and yeah, there's so much to ask. But I guess I just wanted to comment, and I'm glad that this came up because you mentioned that this is something that you're going to talk about. Um, if you're saying love is consistent, our behavior and the behavior of others, even in those loving relationships, in any loving relationship, even with ourselves, does not always express that consistent phenomenon of love. And so this is when we get heartbroken or discouraged because we expect it to always be that Hollywood movie type of love, that it's always happy. And so I find that really interesting how we can understand what real love is, and that it may not always bring about this perfect way of being and behaving with each other. And, it's something that we practice. And, in a culture where there's so much strife, so much divorce, so much discord with people, if we can understand that we can disagree with each other and that we can have these painful situations and experiences that you were talking about and still have love going through underneath all of that, I think that things with everybody would be different. We would experience relationships different and maybe not run so quickly from those painful experiences.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much. I mean, yes, this is the real understanding of love, is regardless of what the situations may be. They may not always be pleasant. I tell the story of when my spiritual master left, and my teacher, my mentor, when he left the planet, that was very traumatic. It was a very traumatic experience for me. And yeah, I kind of wondered what was going to unfold in my life. And what actually unfolded for me is how have I loved? How am I loving? How will I love others? Am I loving others? How am I living this life? Do I matter? I mean, am I living in such a way that I matter? What am I going to leave, with others? And so after he left, it took a little bit. However, I realized that, I had to beg for the grace for my love to grow even deeper and stronger so I can make myself available for others. And it took a lot of support. It took a lot of help. My one of my supporters was Kishore Rani, who showed me love by insisting that I make myself available on the webinars to show my love, to show my appreciation, my gratitude, my depth of care for people, because that was the life of my Guru Maharaj. That was basically how he showed love to others. And so I realized that I have to learn, I have to beg to also become unconditional in my loving. And that required me to grieve. Yes, I did grieve. However, to step up my grieving, I had to step up that grieving and bring and look and really go deep for the love. Like, okay, it's okay to grieve. However, find the love, because you need to give that to others. You need to have that. You need to find that into yourself, right? It's there. It's in you. The joy is there. And so with a lot of support, like I said, I was able to kind of tap into that more and more and more. And I find for myself that the way I experience love is by sharing with others what I have learned about love. And given that love is something we're learning more about always, because love, it's like going to the bottom of an ocean, right? Like a deep ocean, and going to the bottom all the way. And there's definitely treasures at the bottom, but we got to go from the top to the bottom. And through that, we'll find, in that journey, there will be so many different things in that journey if we're ready to take the journey to connect in love. Yeah. So yes, thank you, Leela. It's an eternal connection that we have with the absolute loving being, who people call many different names. We call that person the name Krishna, and that's where we experience the ultimate love. However, it's a process for experiencing that ultimate love. So that eternal person, being that eternal personality, have arranged people in our lives to help us in that growth process, to help us to learn how to experience and feel that love. And if we don't fight that, if we don't fight the people that come in our lives that teach us, then we will certainly experience more and more of the depth of that love. So, it's such a vast topic. And that's why that's why our Guru Maharaj Bhakti Tirtha Swami, my teacher, he wrote this book, because he wanted that we can share with others this phenomena of love, and not make it so much of a, it is mystical at the same time, take some of the mystique away, and share what the real connection is, how we can really make that connection. So there's so much to this book, and there's so much to sharing about love. And certainly we need to explore lust, because generally most of us are conditioned by lust. And so we will be talking about how lust, in different forms and in different ways, becomes obstacles for us experiencing this love. And when I say lust, I don't mean just lust between man and woman or whatever, just physical lust, man and man, woman and woman, not physical. I'm not speaking physical lust. I'm speaking of a lust that is bigger than just something physical. Our lust for accumulating, our lust for hearing the latest that's going on in the world, and maybe thinking how that might affect us. Our lust for the things of the world, our lust for wanting to, control things in our lives. We have so many different levels of lust. And so we're not in any way trying to exclude anyone. We're not in any way trying to be judgmental of anyone. However, we know that in order to experience love, we need to understand how lust is manifesting in our lives. And so we will be exploring all of these for the next few weeks. So we have 4 seminars coming up, and we're really excited about it. We're looking forward to meeting everybody. And we thank you so very much for coming and being on these Facebook Live with us. And we thank Leela and we thank Kishore for making it possible.
Thank you so much, Raja Leela. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it.
So am I. Kishore. Kishore? I don't know. You don't have a mic? Okay. So